Let me start by thanking the hosts for giving me this privilege and opportunity to be amongst you and to also share a few of instances of my experiences with the digital world. And for those who are wondering why Principal Secretary, Technical, Skill and Vocational should be here, I think they invited me when I was CEO Government e-Marketplace. In the last few days, my avatar has changed. I've taken over in my home cadre. Some of the people who might be familiar with Government e-Marketplace, they know me as somebody who was part of a very successful transformative initiative of the Government of India. So indeed, it's a great pleasure to not only address just any audience, but people who actually understand how difficult it is and what amount of humongous efforts go into a transformation that is leveraging digital technologies in the ecosystem of governance. So when you say e-governance, the government becomes the overwhelming or the determining factor. And governments vary. Abhay said Rajasthan has tremendous initiatives they have taken. It's kind of a legacy. It's part of their congenital DNA. The state goes for it. I come from a state, Uttar Pradesh, where at every step you would have a resistance to why should you go digital? It's anti-people. There are certain myths, you and I would call it, especially people who are here, because we have seen the fruits of what digital or digitally leveraged initiatives can actually bring by way of value to governance, by way of efficiency, transparency, is all that we speak of. I would like to share with you exactly, I think Mr. Kaul very nicely explained to you what a digital transformation means from the technology side. As a government bureaucrat, what a digital transformation means, I think I am equipped to share with you more because in my decade long of engagement in the space, I was part of the initial team that did the National E-Governance Plan, E-District, Aadhaar, and then slowly I am now part of the latest, the Government e-Marketplace. There are three facets I thought I'll share with you, which to my mind appears to be the game changer or the game breaker, as you may call it. When we initiated National E-Governance Plan, there was this great thing about ek saath sab kuch nahi kar sakte. You can't have a clean break from the past. So we started everything with by saying, अच्छा ये भी चलेगा, आपका फाइल भी चलेगा, हाइब्रिड में सब कुछ चलेगा क्योंकि अचानक से आप शॉक देंगे लोगों को, नहीं चल सकता. Ecosystem is not prepared, your universe is not prepared. So everything that started initially in 2006, when we said e-governance plan means technology being leveraged by government for delivering its services. So whether you have e-Mitra, e-District is a wider version of it, various states went in, but most of the states went in by way of a disruption that was very gradual. So you were neither here nor there. So you had many initiatives sort of limping and did not make the impact they should have or could have made with the potential that technology actually unleashes for you. So the lesson that one learned was when suddenly the government e-marketplace came, it came in a space where procurement, I think most of you who have been in this space would know, procurement has been talked about since a long time. And every time we talked of procurement by government agencies, which runs into lakhs of crores of rupees, there was always this thought that this is a messy part that you should not open up. So when government came up with this marketplace for procurement, the disruption was drop dead, suddenly kill everything that was part of the legacy, a clean surgical cut from the baggages that were there. DGSND, a more than century-old organization, such a powerful organization, just was closed with nothing remaining of it. It was just a simple decision that that is the only way you can cut from the past and go into the future. I think that disruption not being gradual and disruption being total and killing the baggage or the legacy that one would have had to carry is one major lesson that we learned, that a transformation, if it is digitally empowered, has to be a clean cut for the future and from the past. That's one lesson that I carry very powerfully with me, and government e-marketplace today does everything that the previous procurement systems never did. By opening up, I'm not going to go into what that initiative was, but most of us in the government know that initially in the first 6 months when we sort of formally launched government e-marketplace, I and my team did not visit any states. We did not meet many people. Mr. Call is here, so the OEMs, the HPs and the Dells and the Microsoft of this world, the second part of transformation was you were hitting a lot of interest. When I say interest, it doesn't have any connotation that is only negative. No. The stakeholders' interest in a transformation that is especially so disruptive needs to be taken into account, and most of the times, government and people who populate the government like you and me may not address those interests in the way legitimately and bona fide way it has to be addressed. And that is my second insight or lesson, that you need to hear to the people who were part of the ecosystem, because you gave up a system, but you did not give up on the stakeholders. So the movement of the stakeholders, whether it is government or in a technology-led initiative, it is always equally the technology partners, the market partners, the professional non-government partners who have to be taken on board. And this is a skill that the government system as such is not very well equipped to. We do not know how to engage with a professional partner such as you when we bring in initiatives. Either we leave it totally to the technology partner, which is not done, or we totally sort of take it on a distrust basis that aap jo bhi karenge sahi nahi hoga, so I'll have to tell you what to do. So I think the second lesson that one sort of was made to learn was the interests of the stakeholders of the previous systems. When you make a clean cut from the past, those interests have to be addressed. They have to be realigned. We understood that the interests may be permanent, but the way the interests manifest, your profits, yes, it is a permanent part of any business model, anybody who does business. But how does the profit actually manifest when you do a transaction with a government agency? That can change. And how does it change? How does it get realigned? Is something that needs a lot of navigation with the professional agencies, which needs an enormous amount of understanding and sensitization to the top level of the decision makers in the government. Which brings me to the last part of it. The third lesson that I think, and more so because in the past 3 days that I have been back to my cadre, and the first thing was, आपने जेम बनाया था मैडम, हम आपको बताते हैं कितना गड़बड़ है. So the first thing is ये. Then I sat with one of the person who every time he saw me in the corridor, he said कि आप आइए हम दिखाते हैं. To the extent that yesterday I didn't attend the office. So then I said कि भैया तुम बता ही दो, तुम what is it that is troubling you? Then actually he showed me साइट नहीं खुलता है. अगर मैं एक पेज डाउनलोड करता हूँ तो वो घूमता रहता है. These are he is a section officer. This is what he perceives and this is the language he used. He says, घूमता रहता है, इसमें मैं क्या मार्केट प्लेस से क्या निकालूं, क्या आपका ऑर्डर करूं, आप जो बोलते हैं 2 मिनट में आपका बिड बन जाएगा. He said, I can't even open a page. What are you talking about? Then we called the NIC person. Mr. Call, I agree with you totally, yes. But for good or bad, we all like to beat the NIC. कि खरा होगा तो NIC का होगा. Then we found out कि network नहीं है. There is no connectivity in the Sachivalaya of the central national, the state capital. So sometimes I think the ecosystem doesn't go in the same pace as you and I would wish sitting centrally and doing a national initiative. Rajasthan might have a state-of-the-art data center, UP also does have, but at the user end, does it actually manifest in the way you and I assume? That disconnect needs to be bridged. And this, a large and very critical role is played by people like me. I'm specifically saying people like me. We entered the service when there was no technology. We did most of our services when we did not understand much of technology. We are not the millennials who have come in recently who understand technology intuitively. So I have a lot of my colleagues, when I tell them technology से आप कर सकते हैं, believe me, even today they say technology है तो आप वो IT वाला एक बाहर बैठा है उसको बता दो. If this is the mindset most of us have on treating, technology is certainly a tool, but it's such a tool that if you use it, it can overwhelm you in a very wrong way if you do not understand the potential of it. It has to be rightly channelized. For that, the decision-making level across the government needs to be made to understand the implications of bringing in an initiative that is leveraging technology. Because as I see it now, it's become almost a part of the government way of working, where everything we say, अच्छा ये application एक mobile app में आ जाएगा, ये इसमें आ जाएगा, this is the way we think. But how should it be brought on an app mode or on a net web leveraged mode, how it should be delivered? All of these needs a lot of thinking at the level of the decision makers who sit in the government. And there, I think, the role of people who are sitting here, because you are the ones who constantly engage as project managers or project initiators or somebody who's consulting the government, you need to play a little more of a critical role than you would do in, say, a PPP in a school where you have to just build schools. But when it is a technology-leveraged initiative, I think the Technology Sabha makes immense sense, because this is the one space where, in the e-governance space, both of us, the government and the professional side of the market, sit on an even keel. You and I are equal partners. And therefore, you are expected to handhold and guide the decision makers, not only with your interests solely, but also the interest of the project as a whole, because that actually goes into delivering some very, very critical services to the mass of citizens of this country, which makes you and me very important part of the cog in the huge wheel of governance. Thank you so much for listening to me so patiently.